Hello, and welcome to the first Bardic Wars Luminaries Concert. My name is Eerikintytär, and I am your host. Tonight we are going to be seeing 14 master bards from across the known world. Not necessarily Bardic laurels, but folks possessing that level of performance prowess. These bards represent a wide variety of styles and will be entertaining us with song, story, and poem. We'll be hearing mostly original works, plus a handful of period pieces. The idea for the Luminaries Concert was created by Lorelei Skye. This is the third of the series. The first couple were at the last two known World Cooks and Bards events. Videos for the first one are available on YouTube. The second, I don't think was ever posted. As for the next one, well, we'll see. Plans are afoot. For now, though, sit back, relax, and enjoy our third Luminaries Concert.
Bright are the oars of the fiery ship that is traveling into the west, bearing the knowledge of long days past to enlighten the isles of the blest. Gentle the fingers of rosy-hued dawn, sharp the bright sword of the sun, rising together the glorious light of a new day of promise begun. The mead flows gold as the setting sun, the wine flows red as the dawn. Raise a toast to the new days begun, and sing praise to the old days gone. Hard was the work for the sweet golden mead of the bees midst the northern flowers, while peaceful the slumber of deep purple grapes that have ripened in long southern hours. Now is the time for the mead to be poured, as the drowsy bees seek their rest. Now is the time for the wine to be poured, for the harvest has brought in the best. The mead flows gold as the setting sun, the wine flows red as the dawn. Raise a toast to the new days begun, and sing praise to the old days gone. Autumn came clothed in riches and jewels, leaves shining with amber and gold. The harvest wealth ever reflected in fires burning brightly to counter the cold. Reflected the blaze of autumn still shines in the warm amber light of the spring. And who knows what riches of blossom and bloom the passage of seasons shall bring. The mead flows gold as the setting sun, the wine flows red as the dawn. Raise a toast to the new days begun, and sing praise to the old days gone. The mead flows gold as the setting sun, the wine flows red as the dawn. Raise a toast to the new days begun, and sing praise to the old days gone. Green, green grow the fields, while purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea that encircles our lands forever. Fair Iru and Alba are ever besieged by wave over wave of invaders. The Fomorians first by the Danann defeated, then Mill's sons, the first human raiders. they'll not be pushed underground. They are as waves upon our shores, each one reaching, touching, passing, returning to the sea once more. While green, green grow the fields, and purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea that encircles our lands forever. Gull's Hill forts now fly Roman standards, recruited her sons fight their kin. Though our names they shall change, and a wall they shall build, beyond that they never shall win. The Empire's troops must march on. They are as waves upon our shores, each one reaching, touching, passing, returning to the sea once more. While green, green grow the fields, and purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea that encircles our lands forever. Invited, the kinsmen of Hengeist have come, the white horse runs swift at their prow. Generations shall pay out this hired army's price, and they'll call us the foreigners now. But they too shall have prices to pay. They are as waves upon our shores, each one reaching, touching, passing, returning to the sea once more. While green, green grow the fields, and purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea that encircles our lands forever. The North Sea betrays our northern shore's trust as she bears the dragon ships forth. Norsemen, a Viking for women and land, that they'll claim is their own from henceforth. But a heart can't be stolen by force, and they are as waves upon our shores, each one reaching, touching, passing, returning to the sea once more. While green, green grow the fields, and purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea that encircles our lands forever. Though the tides of invasion still crash on our shores, the souls of our first ones still live. Memories are passed from parent to child. What more have we left to give? They are as seeds in the ground, and we are as waves upon our shores, each one reaching, touching, passing, returning to the sea once more. Where green, green grow the fields, and purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea that encircles our lands forever. Always green, green grow the fields, and purple blooms the heather, and blue, blue is the rolling sea. I rode it out 3 years ago while the sun sank into the west. My mother's words far from my mind, my love's name singing in my breast. Wandering lost in love or dream, I followed the path of the winding stream, till I reached the washer's ford, and there I thought to stop and rest. But when I reached those singing falls, another soul was standing there, a washerwoman, old and grey, faded flowers in her hair. Though she was stooping to her task, blithely I went to her and asked, "Good woman, if you're feeling weary, I have some apples that we might share." Slowly did she turn to me, gave a little smile. "I thank you for your kindness, maid, and soon shall rest a while. I've rarely met one so giving among the dead or of the living. I will share your apple soon as I have finished my travail." The sunset stained the water crimson beside her heap of work. The dusk crept in the forest, and I knew 'twould soon be dark. "Thou art old while I am maid, let you take rest and take my aid." "If you wish," said she, "but you must wash this torn and bloody sark." I halted for a moment, then I bent as I'd been told. I took that torn and blood-stained garment, plunged it in the river cold. Yet as I washed that linen fine, I recognized the stitches mine upon that very shirt I'd sewn for my true lover, brave and bold. Too late remembered I the tale of the laundress of the dead, who cleansed the clothes of those new slain when the sun is flaming red, who wait beside that bloody stream, and for their lovers loudly keen. Too late then did I understand that I was trapped and he was dead. Softly did the woman weep, "I never meant you ill. Never did I think to have my freedom bought by your goodwill. But dumbly did I face my plight as the dying sun bled into night. I shed a tear for my love gone, then took my washing under hill. And now I work by the water's side as the sun is flaming red, and cleanse the clothes of those new slain, and hear their names on the wind. Fair one, do not let aid nor grief entrap you here as my relief, but fly now home to weep and keen, for by this blood your love is dead."
Sanctus es vivificando formas. Sanctus es ungendo periculo se fractus. Sanctus est ergendo petita venerera. O spiraculum sanctitatis, O ignis caritatis, O
This poem was written for the barony of Bjornsborg, to speak of the memory they hold for loved ones that have passed. The skill of the skalds is skived from the legends of the battle-planked brandishers beneath the bear's banner. Weak are the soft words for wielders of wound flames not born, fate kissed beneath the banner of the white bear. Valkyries held vigil when valiant Emerus rejoined beloved Brianna, bound again, forever. Jusric and Ronvald tell of Radulf and Skelmere, then fill hungry Einherjar with egg feasts from their longships. Wordsmiths here weaving their weird still chase Ragnar's fame. See how the seal hunters seed Valhall with their heroes. This poem was written from the pain that we all felt when tragedy struck the kingdom of Callantyr. Callantyr sheds tears fresh, talons in wood's bane lost. Freya's cloak kin flying, feathers shadow hell's road. Blood songs sung days before brought Callantyr honor, but her heart's laid low by light of fire's darkness. Cinnamon red reaver, Ron the noble ripple wing, winter's ivory allure, Artemis hunts hell's halls. Weeps the sable star, for soar no more these falcons. This skald's tongue, now silent, sorrow has reaped his words. Dietrich's Droppa was written for my dearly beloved friend, Sir Dietrich Kempenich von Eltz. Gone too soon from this world, he was the one that fostered the love for skaldic poetry in me from the very start. I miss him more than words can explain. Gather close, my kith and kin, for tales regaling deeds of the great Dietrich. Dauntless the stag braggart. Many felled the falcon's foes with wings unseasoned. When feathers unfurled, he flew like few before him. Glory stained the green hills, growing warlord's luster, till Ringgiver gave him golden eagle's cloaking. Spirits soared with splendid spurs, belt and plain chainings. Time had shown his titles truly weren't his measure. His worth better won by words of praise and wisdom. His faith was the fire that fueled his love and passion. His sword and his service surpassed only by his devotion to dearest darling wife and savior. His legacy leaves us longing for more stories. So tell your tales, wild, true, or tall. Drink deep to Dietrich. This poem was written to commemorate the elevation of James and Joan for the kingdom of Glenavon. Noble James and Joan, the jewels of the Ram's land, lead with wisdom, love, and loyal hearthkin with them. Their hearts are not held by hoarfrost or Sif's hair, but by daring to dream and delight in growth of others. Your ring-giver is righteous. Rare is his bold spirit. He is a word-weaver, and warm is his welcoming. His windfish call waves of warriors with but whispers. The smell of meats smoking summons his bannermen. Serpent of wolf wine he wields with deadly cunning. Hail your king. Hail James, for his word fame is well earned. Lord of horsemen's heart, does wholly measure his equal. Lessons taught with love the learned will remember. The queen's heart is humble, having grace and prudence. Beloved, patient, balanced blurs the wooing of the moon. Dexterous fingers deftly draw her needles mapping, but savvy hands speak softer than succor given to new dreamers. The ring of the Wreathguard rightly has received her. Hail your queen! Hail Joan, for her word fame is well earned. Legacies of these legends will last beyond their lifetimes, and Glenaubyn's glories will grow like Idun's apples. These words were spoken for Vigdis Grafelder on the day of her elevation to the Order of the Laurel. Hail the king! Hail the queen! Hail the lords and ladies! Hail the gods! Hail the goddesses! Hail the honored sable star! Look upon this day with favored eyes and good fortune for all that witness. Listen closely, lords and ladies, to recount the virtues of the Volva, Vigdis, the Seidr spinner. Well she kens the wool ways, weaving brilliant patterns. No cords from any creature could she not spiral. Where to any warrior wanting easy spoils, for ash is bent to bring the bow-mother's hail of reeds. Mother of two talented talon storms, Jurgen and Hilda, now does Donna's wife near, knowing love surrounds her. Twice belted to the bay-wreathed Beatrix and the spinner, Vigdis held her vigil, and vaunted wisdom garnered. Bonded by the Bifrost band, this thistle-bearer comes to the answer the crown, and covey of the wreath guard. This poem is called Finn's Visor, and it tells the story leading to the birth of the Skald, Finn Jarlskald. Hearken close, and hear of hero stories soaring. Elisif finds Fhlain forming bonds by Orm's bites. Fenrir's stalking sons pad slyly by in Ron's hall. Westward bore the beasts, and brought the dawning autumn. For Sif's hair and hoar-frost have the havoc reavers, strong and brave, bringing blood eels for the shield flood, set sail o'er the seal plains, sword song and word fame craved. Felling Aegir's alehead, Ellie's courage swelled much. Fat the crows then flew with feathers o'er the heather, while the wind-swept whale road whisked away the fray-sweat. Dreadful warning words did wind southward by mouthfuls, filling Conrict Fhuilin's fiery eyes with ire dark. Kerbel's windfish whirling wildly styled the boiling serpents near black stairs, and summoned Fhuilin's steel fangs. The crow-feeders cawed and clamoured, damning Northmen. Ranging for Onrirtic, rovers covered much earth. Finally meeting fighters from the eastern sea, the ire-fueled men of Erin, eager for spear tears, a band of white and boneless, bellowed vows, beat bowruns, hefted shields, and shafts so sharp were sharks in frenzy. The cold storm of swords was savage. Fhuilin's steel had hewn many foes. Howling, he fed the war corbies. El the steel eye, all but equaled for the corbies, his fair and best feasting. Fearless, that spear maiden. Raised swords, face to face they fought, blow for blow, tireless, till ring-givers granted gore marked the war shearing. Elisif found Fhuilin fully matched her passion in blade dance and bed rolls, and blessed him with hand fasting. Weeper of gold welcomed wedding with a bed seed, sprouting white-crowned sun in summer warm and stormy. Father kenned him Finn, but Flame Eye kenned his fame, and with honeyed waves the wanderer wet his lips with sipfuls.
Greetings, I am Gwendolyn the Graceful, Brehyres OL of the Kingdom of Æthelmearc, and if this works out well, this will be a favorite piece of mine that is a little bit different from the way that I normally perform it. So, hope you enjoy. This is Wind on the Sea.
There's a ship that's at dock in the harbor, and her name is the Wind on the Sea. The sailors all call her a lady, but a widow she'll make out of me. She's trim and she's yarn, tonight she sails far, bound for distant lands I'll never see. But my soul ever knows, my heart goes where she goes, for my husband her captain shall be. Wind on the sea, carry my love to me. Oh, bold and brave sailor, my love is, and a better man you'll never find. He ran to the sea as a boy, its life and his have since been entwined. From hand to first mate, he secured his own fate, and along the whole he remained kind. He courted me fair in the sweet salty air, and we two were of one mind. Wind on the sea, carry my love to me. Now he tells me his captain is dying, and 'tis my man the old captain chose. The wind on the sea, she's at anchor in her moor, and his sailor's heart knows that this gift he's been sold is far richer than gold, and worth more than the cargo she stows. And so great is his mirth, I can't tell him a birth lies in me, for in me his son grows. Wind on the sea, carry my love to me. With a laugh and a kiss he is leaving, and I keep my eyes dry for his sake. A 12-month his ship will go sailing, while my living alone I must make. I'll sing to his son, and I'll pray to the one who now holds his life in her wake. My song to the wind shall sound till my life's end, or till her oath she break. Wind on the sea, oh, carry my love to me. Now a 12-month and more have passed by me, and my captain has yet to return. The suitors wait outside my parlour, but their insinuations I spurn. The wind on the sea holds a promise for me, and a treasure my labour has earned. My Jack's a fine lad who will yet know his dad, and my love shall ever burn. last evening I heard a ship's bell ring, and I shook myself out of my sleep. Though the tide was at ebb, I went walking to the pier, and the water so deep. And there came the crew, and her good captain too, and his tears bittersweet now I weep. For he'll promise to stay till we grow old and grey, but that vow he never can keep. For a sailor cannot be contented to live on the dry land for long. Though he's proud of our son and our life, no life is like the one where he belongs. He'll stay for a while till the sea next beguiles, and then shall I take up my song. For I know that someday he'll be claimed by the spray, when the wind on the sea blows too strong. Wind on the sea, oh, carry my love to me. Wind on the sea, oh, carry my love to me.
Thank you.
Was an afternoon in early May, a beautiful and a sunny day. I was sitting under a cherry tree when a sudden sound startled me. My lady fair, pray hear my call, said the raven on the garden wall. I looked up and I saw a bird whose croaky voice I had just heard. He was as black as a winter's night, and his eyes were gleaming bright. I have tidings for this hall, said the raven on the garden wall. I have flown for almost a week, for my lady you I did see. In France I have built my nest, but this spring we had no rest. There was a war, I saw it all, said the raven on the garden wall. When I was young I used to live here, this town and its people I hold dear. For old friends I came all this way, but for long I cannot stay. I knew your Richard young and tall, said the raven on the garden wall. I saw him standing on the field, wielding his sword and holding his shield. 1 week ago that evening late, the losses on either side were great. I saw him fight, I saw him fall, said the raven on the garden wall. I tried to breathe, I did my best, but I felt the heart sob in my chest. He's dead, I can't live, I cried. The raven tilted his head to the side. My lady, your child is but small, said the raven on the garden wall. Like a hatchling young and weak, from you he will comfort seek. So keep him safe and keep him sound, To that duty you are bound, for his sake you must not fall, said the raven on the garden wall. Oh, Richard, please come home to me. You must not be dead, it cannot be. Wake me from this awful sleep. The birds sat still and watched me weep. Have your cry, then stand up tall, said the raven on the garden wall. He will not come, and you will not wake. Rather pray for his soul's sake. Richard and his comrades lie on a field, 'neath a foreign sky. You may feel that you've lost all, said the raven on the garden wall. You'll have plenty of work, that I can tell, to manage these lands and do it well. Do it for yourself and the lad. I'm sorry that my news was sad, but I wish time brings joy to this hall, said the raven on the garden wall. Time will heal, or so they say, and there will be another May, when I will not bring you the word that you wish you had not heard. I bid farewell, I have places to call, said the raven on the garden wall.
Rakkaastani kuulkaatte nyt, sydämensä on tunteeton, kuin kivi kylmä sieluton. Niin kauan olen itkenyt, lempeä soitan raikuvin torvin, lauluni kohtaa hän kuuroin korvin. Rakkautta varron suotta, artonut on monta vuotta. En muita näe hänet vain, jos mulle suo hymyn kerran, muille tusinankin verran. Alt katsettakaan tuskin sai, kuin janoinen pidi viime tilkan, hänen sanansa juon, kehun pilkan. Haistelen ja tutkin niitä, vaan ei kauaa tippaa riitä. Menkö sotaan sekä surmaan, kaiho mieli surra voisin, rukouksen hänelle soisin. Päättyä sais päivän sturmaan, haudallensa laskisi muita, nostaisin muurin suojaamaan muita. Ei lempeä mulle soisi, vaan eipä muillekaan voisi.
Viekää hänelle siis terveiseni, ellei elä tai kuole vuokseni. Iäksi jättäköön tämän maan, ehkä vihdoin niin rauhan saa.
Isu Odinson was the last born and youngest of all of Odin's sons, and great is his word fame. For Isu was a learned judge, one with such wisdom, such knowledge of the law, that no judge in Midgard could equal him. And Isu was strong in runecraft, so strong that he could turn water to mead, make fish leap from the sea, give sight to the blind and motion to the lame, and even snatch folk from the arms of death. And Isu was a mighty warrior, so mighty that he challenged hell and death to war for all of Midgard, and that battle was fierce, and Isu won in the end by following his father's example and hanging himself from a tree with a spear piercing his side. And for that reason, and others besides, Isu is often praised in saga and song. One such saga is the saga of Burton Jarl, which says that Thor challenged Isu to a duel. and that Isu refused. But the Skald does not say why Thor should challenge Isu to a duel, nor why Isu refused, nor what came of the matter. That is my tale. Now, perhaps you have heard me tell, on some other occasion, how Loki the Riddle-maker doubted Isu's parentage. And he descended to Midgard, questioned Isu closely, and came away satisfied. But Thor was not satisfied. For one thing, he had little trust of his uncle after that small affair with Mjolnir and the giants. And for another, Thor is the sort who likes to see things for himself. So he too descended to Midgard and sought Isu out. He found Isu on a mountainside overlooking a grand fjord and studying runes he had carved in the side of the mountain. "Are you Isu the Blessed, the son of Yosaf the Shipwright?" said Thor. "I am Isu's son of Moira," said Isu. "Yosaf was my foster father." "Who is your father, then?" Thor demanded. "Why do you ask what you know already?" said Isu. "I do not trust Loki's answers," said Thor. "I have come to find the truth of the matter, so I challenge you to the duel." But Isu shook his head. "I cannot fight you," said Isu, "and I must not." The earth shook and the sky thundered. "You cannot refuse!" "I can," said Isu, "and I must. For one of two things must be true. Either I am the son of Odin, or I am not." "That is plain enough," said Thor. "What of it?" "Only this," said Isu. "If I am not the son of Odin, then I am a mortal man. It is not fitting that a mortal man should raise his hand against you, nor does it befit your honor to duel a mortal man. And if I am the son of Odin, then we are brothers, and it is wrong that we shed each other's blood. It would set our kin against each other, and we have foes enough already." Thor remembered then the prophecy about his brothers Balder and Holther. "There is something to what you say," said Thor. "But I am not satisfied, and would test you." "Try me then," said Isu. "I am willing." "What test is there but battle?" Thor demanded. "Did not Uthgarthur Loki try you without raising a single weapon?" said Isu. Thor considered this for a long time. Then he said, "Good. I will try you then without weapons within these 3 days. If you are the son of Odin indeed, come and find me." "That is fair," said Isu, and Thor left him. On the 3rd day, Isu went to Bjarg, the chief of his thanes, and said, "Let us sail northwest today and fish." "It'll be a wonder to catch anything at this time of year," said Bjarg, "but we will do as you say, Gothi." So Isu, Bjarg, and 11 others of his thanes took ship and sailed northwest. The day was fair and fine, and the sailing clear and calm, and Isu fell asleep in the ship. Then the sky turned black, and the earth thundered. Rain like arrows, hail the size of a woman's fist, poured from the sky like grain from a mill. The sea churned as if it were boiling, and lightning struck the mast. The boards cracked and creaked, the sails tore, and though Isu's thanes were good sailors, they feared for their lives. Finally, Yanni, the youngest of Isu's thanes, shook him and said, Go thee, wake! It is not good to die sleeping. Isu woke and heard the storm. He stood on his feet and spoke a single rune to the sky, and it cleared. And he spoke a second rune to the wind, and it fell silent. He spoke a third rune to the sea, and it calmed. And there, on an island to the northwest, Mjolnir still raised in his hand, stood Thor. Isu spoke another rune to the sea, and it became as solid as ice in winter. And Isu walked upon it, to the shore where Thor stood. "Are you satisfied, brother?" said Isu. "I am satisfied," said Thor, and he embraced him. But then Thor frowned. I have spoken slander against you and your mother," said Thor. "I owe you compensation." "Will you give me self-judgment?" said Isu. "I will," said Thor, "for I have heard much of your wisdom and seen it myself." "Then," said Isu, "in compensation for slander against me and my mother, I ask the loan of Mjolnir for 1 day and 1 night." I cannot lend you Mjolnir, and I must not," said Thor, "for I must have it always, for Ragnarok." "I give you my word," said Isu. "The day shall be far before Ragnarok, and the night afterwards." Thor knew Isu had the gift of foresight. So he said, "If that is so, I grant the loan, and gladly." And they embraced again and gave each other gifts, and Thor returned to Asgard, and Isu to the ship. He said to his thanes, "Cast your nets." They did, and the fish were so many that their nets tore. From that day, Isu and Thor were good friends. Isu kept his word, and Thor his, and Isu had the loan of Mjolnir for 1 day and 1 night. And that day was the day of Isu's death, when Hel took him, though he had been slain in battle. And Isu summoned Mjolnir, and with it broke down the doors of Helheim, and freed all those whom Hel had unlawfully seized. And that night shall be the night after Ragnarok, when Isu shall take Mjolnir from Thor's cold hand, and with it raise the walls of Helheim to the ground and free us forever from the reign of Hell and death.
I'm Johann von Solothurn from the Kingdom of Atlantia, and the first song I have for you tonight is Come Along. This is a song I wrote about a bard's journey and about home. And I dedicate this song to my old mentor, Æthelmearc Whistle. Good friend of mine, come, it's time to leave home, so come along. We'll tell many tales and sing all our songs, so come along with me. Come along with me, we'll wander and we'll roam, and one day we will return, we'll always come back home. Good friend, while we're gone, we'll follow our dreams, so come along. We'll take to the stage and cause quite a scene, so come along with me. Come along with me, we'll wander and we'll roam, and one day we will return, we'll always come back home. My friend, will get by with our wit and our words, so come along. We'll light up the halls with the songs we have heard, so come along with me. Come along with me, we'll wander and we'll roam, and one day we will return, we'll always come back home. And when the time comes for us to return, well, come along. Our words they will hear as the Bardic fire burns, so come along with me. Come along with me, we'll wander and we'll roam, and one day we will return, we'll always come back home. Come along with me, we'll wander and we'll roam, and one day we will return, we'll always come back home. And one day we will return, we'll always come back home. For my next piece, I have an Alman, written for the lute by the late period lutenist Robert Johnson. And for my last piece, I thought it would be appropriate to do a little song about war. So this is a song I wrote. Well, the lady I loved said, I want a man who can wield a sword with his two hands. So I boasted of my swordplay skills. I said at war, it's where I get my thrills. Well, then her father said, son, we are at war, and to my king an oath I swore that my kin would all beside him stand. So it's off to war if you want her hand. So I went to war and I got nailed. What a sight those near me then beheld, when I cursed and yelled as I got impaled. When I went to war and I got nailed. Well, she was nice voice, and she was sweet, and wooing her it was a treat. But I never should have gone to war, for an oath that her wretched old man swore. 'Cause I went to war and I got nailed. What a sight those near me then beheld, when I cursed and yelled as I got impelled. When I went to war and I got nailed. So my friends, behold the path I've trod. I'm lying here upon the sod, with the stick up through my entrails run, and I'm baking here beneath the sun. 'Cause I went to war and I got nailed. What a sight those near me then beheld, when I cursed and yelled as I got impaled. When I went to war and I got nailed. Yes, I went to war and I got nailed. What a sight those near me then beheld, when I cursed and yelled as I got impaled. When I went to war and I got nailed. Yes, I went to war and I got nailed.
Exactly 3 years ago, this April and May, I was walking the Camino, so I wanted to sing you Don Your Shoes and Shell. Don your shoes and shell, and your pilgrim cape, set forth from your door, along the St. James Way, and walk the Camino to Santiago. Yes, walk the Camino to Santiago. Carry only what you need, for the road is long and weary. Let your soul guide your feet, for your heart it sees more clearly. And on your shoes and shell, and your pilgrim cape, set forth from your door, along the St. James Way, and walk the Camino to Santiago. Yes, walk the Camino to Santiago. When the rain comes fast and hard, and your storm seems never ending, keep your mind upon the stars, and set your steps to mending. And on your shoes and shell, and your pilgrim cape, set forth from your door, along the St. James Way, and walk the Camino to Santiago. Yes, walk the Camino to Santiago. When the plains are hard as clay, and your feet are blistered sorely, keep your mind upon the way, and you'll see what matters shortly. And on your shoes and shell, and your pilgrim cape, set forth from your door, along the St. James Way, and walk the Camino to Santiago. Yes, walk the Camino to Santiago. When you fall upon your knees, and your hand has touched his statue, you'll see you've found your peace along the journey that is past you. And on your shoes and shell, and your pilgrim cape, set forth from your door, along the St. James Way, and walk the Camino to Santiago. Yes, walk the Camino to Santiago. This is a brand new song that my son and I wrote, and it turned out to be about a dragon, not a griffin. Oops. There'll be joy in the mead hall when they finally see our sails. Oh, fly for the homeland before the coming gale. There's mist on the horizon, oh, it's rising from the foam. Our wings will raise and turn our gaze and ride the dragon home. The time has come to sail for home before the winter snows. We've gone so far, it's been so long, we've bested many foes. The summer's almost over, the winds are growing cold. I hear our kinsmen calling for our stories to be told. And there'll be joy in the mead hall when they finally see our sail. Oh, fly for the homeland before the coming gale. There's mist on the horizon, oh, it's rising from the foam. Our wings will raise and turn our gaze and ride the dragon home. We'll light the fires and sing the songs and raise our mead cups high and tell the tales of valor of warriors who have died. And when the winter's over and warm blows the wind, from Ravensign we'll know to fly the dragon once again. And there'll be joy in the mead hall when they finally see our sail. Oh, fly for the homeland before the coming gale. There's mist on the horizon, oh, it's rising from the foam. Our wings will raise and turn our gaze and ride the dragon home. Our wings will raise and turn our gaze and ride the dragon home. Emer said I should sing about a selkie, so here's The Heartless Sea. My father's gone to the sea, to the sea. My father's gone to the sea. My mother, she mourns him. I worry when she cries. She stands on the shore and she keens. The wind whips her wild hair. The waves grip her bare feet and fill up the footprints she leaves. My father's gone to the sea, to the sea. My father's gone to the sea. I sit on the dry sand just up past the high tide and gaze on the deep and the foam. She swears that she sees him sometimes in the dawning when there's naught but a seal all alone. My father has gone to the sea, to the sea. My father has gone to the sea. I'm almost a man now. My mother, she worries. The waves, they will take me like him. So she won't let me fish. She won't let me sail. No, she won't even teach me to swim. My father has gone to the sea, to the sea. My father has gone to the sea. One night just past sunset, as I walked the sea strand, I saw something born on the tide. A gift from the ocean, a fine sealskin jacket, and I slipped my hand down deep inside. And now I am gone to the sea, to the sea. Oh, now I am gone to the sea. And every fine morning my father and I watch, so helpless to offer relief. She stands all alone, with bare feet and wild hair, and she keens and she cries in her grief. For now we are gone to the sea, to the sea. Yes, now we are gone to the sea. Oh, now we are gone to the sea, to the sea. The cruel, the heartless sea.
Oh, there you are. I figured you'd find me. Yeah, I'm back from London, as you could tell. Yes, after I finished my business with the King's paperwork, I did actually get to your merchant, the one you were telling me about. And I paid off the debts that you asked me to and arranged for the shipment of wine you asked for. So he said you'll have it by Michaelmas easily, no problem whatsoever. So it's good. While I was in London, I went by the Tower of London. I saw it. It was just amazing. It was a really... You haven't decided to do what I'm talking about. I saw... All right, I'll give you a hint. At one end, it has a tail that is a little bit like a broom with a brush on the end of it that, might be the size that a house mother might, be cleaning out the front walk or something like that. And on the other end, front end, it's got this kind of serpenty, dragony thing with horns. In the middle, it's absolutely rock solid. It's like a wall. It's this huge wall. It's the size of a crofter's hut. I mean, it's just gigantic. And it sits on these giant tree trunk sized legs. It's just amazing. And if you stand too close to the front half when you're looking at the big middle part, there's a big wavy thing which will knock you around. So you got to stand back a little bit. Yeah, so you figured it out. I got to see King Henry's new elephant in the Tower of London when I was on my trip. What an experience. Man, that thing is huge. They tell me it's 10 years old, has tusks, doesn't look at all like the drawings that you see in the bestiaries. It's absolutely huge. It's just this gray color with black tinges, not much fur, very thick skin, really, really, really huge animal. I have no idea. Oh, and the bestiaries are wrong. Elephants do have knees. I saw them, and they work just like a horse's knees. It's exactly the same. I have to say, when you go into the Tower of London to this giant room, it's about, 20 feet by 40 feet. That's where they keep it indoors, and then they take it out for walks. It's the first thing you notice is the smell. That animal smells totally different than anything I've ever smelled in my life, and it's really smelly. I mean, it's really quite remarkable. I mean, I've been in a stable with hundreds of horses, and nothing compares to how redolent this beast is. It's just gigantically huge. I can't imagine having such a creature in my house. It's just absolutely amazing to see. So I made friends with the guy who takes care of it. His name is Henri de Fleur. He's the beast master, they call him, or something like that. And so I started asking questions because I'm really curious about this animal. Where did it come from? How much does it eat? And he said, about 350 pounds a day. How much? I said, yeah. And he said, it eats hay, it eats fruit, eats vegetables. It's got to be good stuff, because if it doesn't like it, it starts to throw it around and trample it. So you got to get it good stuff. I said, and what does it drink? He says, it drinks water. You got to keep up the barrels full. We got 3 big, half-ton barrels out here, and we got to keep them full because he's drinking it. How much does he drink every day? About 40, 50 gallons a day, most of a barrel. Holy mackerel. And where does all of that stuff go? he started to laugh on me. He says, "See those furrows on the floor?" And I'm going, "Yeah, yeah. Those are the drains." What? Yep, yep. Makes a lot. 40 gallons on a regular go. No kidding. Holy mackerel. Oh man, I bet you the tanners and dyers would love to get a hold of that stuff. Yeah, he said, "We're talking about it." It's pretty amazing. So where did this come from? I know most of it. And I asked him, I should say I didn't know most of it. I knew little bits of it. I knew that the king had been to France. And so I said, "Tell me a little bit more." And he said, "Well, if you'll remember this, right? You'll remember this. Last November, the king went to France, right? King Henry and his wife, Eleanor, went to visit Eleanor's sister, Margaret, who's the Queen of France, and King Louis IX, right? And they spent the holidays together. I mean, these kings have been sort of fighting over who's going to own Normandy and Gascony and all these parts of France. And they met as friends and they had the holidays together. And Louis gave this elephant to the king as a present. I mean, kings give each other, amazing animals, but this was Louis's elephant that he'd gotten when he was on crusade as a gift from the Egyptians for all the work he'd done, working against Syria or one of the other places. I can't remember which battle it was. And they gave it to him and he had it transshipped to France. And the funniest thing that Henri told me, the funniest thing is that it was housed in a little village in France called Wissat, which is right across from Dover. It's the place they make the crossing in the usual case. And the King Henry, after he got back to England, after having visited France and hung out with the King of France and the big family party type stuff, he tells the Sheriff of Kent, "Go fetch my thing and bring it back to London if the sailors think it's safe." So here's the poor Sheriff of Kent, and he's got this elephant to take care of. So the sheriff hires a crew, hires a big boat. They get it on board. The elephant's used to this. They travel all the way from Egypt to France on a boat. They lash it to the center of the boat to keep the boat balanced, and they sail across the channel. And they get to Dover and they go, "This is working out." So they continue up the coast. And they get around to the corner where they're going to turn the corner, go up to the Thames, and they end up having to go out into the North Sea, and they get caught by the winds and a storm that starts brewing. And the ship is heaving and wheeling and stuff like that. And they're getting worried because the elephant's getting really mad, starting to scream and yell and making it stamping its feet, stuff like that. And they're really worried about the safety of the ship and the crew. And so they give up and they dock in Sandwich. You remember Sandwich. Sandwich has got that real nice harbor with the sandbars on the outside that protect it from the rough seas. And they disembark it. They unload it onto the grounds, wait for the storm to pass, and the next day it won't go back on the boat. So they walk it all the way from Sandwich across all of Kent back to London. Took them 4 days. Oh man, I wish I had been part of that story. The way that Henri described it, every single village that they came to, there were people coming out, every single town, the masters of the town would come out and the sheriffs would come out and they all look at this unbelievably large creature as it would stop at random places and sort of eat things and pull leaves off of trees and stuff like that and munch them down. And it was apparently a pretty peaceful 4-day walk across almost all of Southeast England. And except for this one instance, this happened just before they got to Canterbury, the Archbishop of Canterbury's estate. There was a bull on the side in the pasture that took umbrage at this monstrous creature walking on its territory, and it charged the elephant. Now, I don't know about you, but when you see a bull that's really having a bad day and is charging, everybody's diving for the weeds. The elephant stood straight from the way it was described to me, sat on it as it came up, then picked it up and threw it on the ground all in one move. Killed it instantly. That's just, who's going to pay for this bill? Certainly not the king. You attack the king's property, it's your problem. They get it back to London. It's been there. They take it out every day. It's really quite remarkable. I have a lot of hope for this elephant because it's the cement of the friendship between the English king, Henry, and the French King Louis. And I just think that that's really remarkable. I just wish the best for this animal. boy, I would like to ride on this thing. I see that in all of the bestiaries and stuff like that, there are guys riding on top of it. It must be absolutely funny. It was just huge. It was an amazing experience. You should, if you're ever in London, I highly recommend that you stop by and take a look at it, because it's just amazing. And while you're there, I recommend that you stop in the early morning on the London Bridge, right, over the Thames, and watch the tower carefully, because every morning they let out this giant, huge white bear that stands almost as tall as the elephant, like over 10 feet, and they on a long chain, and they let it swim in the Thames and catch its own lunch. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable. It was a gift from the King of Norway, Håkon. He gave it to King Henry for his menagerie. So if you go to London, you can see not only the King's elephant, which is a stunning beast, but you get to see the giant white bear as well. I highly recommend it. Totally a lot of fun. Man.
Greetings to the known world from Mistress Rosalind Johann of fair Atlantia. My first piece will be the first one I ever wrote, called The Lament of Two Ladies. It was inspired by watching Kenneth Branagh's version of King Henry V at the same time I was watching a Persian Gulf War on CNN. And it made me think about how we would have gotten the news of a war in our time. As I was a-walking to Glastonbury fair, oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, I spied a noble woman upon the castle square, and green grows the broad meadow. I hailed her, my lady, why do you look so pale? Oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, and gaze ye so sadly across the forest vale, and green grows the broad meadow. He said, good my lord hath gone off to the war, oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, fighting for King Richard upon a foreign shore, and green grows the broad meadow. Though I be but a maid, and ye a high-born dame, oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, yet in this sad plight, alack, we are the same, and green grows the broad meadow. I too have a sweet fighting in that distant land, oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, for our noble king has a yeoman in his band, and green grows the broad meadow. Well, I will pray to gracious God on high, oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, that the months and the years will swiftly pass on by, and green grows the broad meadow, till thy Lord is restored to his castles and his farms, oh, the rose and the lily and the violet, oh, and my bonny lad is held once more in my arms, and green grows the broad meadow, and green grows the broad meadow. In days of yore, before dirt was invented, Atlantia had a group called the Militant Society of Bards, the MSOBs, and our insignia was this beautiful motley. I actually found it at the bottom of the closet one day, and so I'm wearing it in honor of all of us. Sing ho for the life of the bard, though the road is long and the way is hard, for the soul of a bard is free oh, the life of the bard for me. I've sung for lords and ladies fair, and eke for peasantry. I've sung for the children in the village square, who dance so merrily. I've sung at night by the firelight, and told of days of yore, to the yeomen bold and the captains old, as they gird up for war. Sing ho for the life of the bard, though the road is long and the way is hard, for the soul of a bard is free, oh, the life of the bard for me. A troubadour he welcome is at every hearth and town, from the mountains' doors to the boggy moors I travel up and down, and the price of bread a roof for my head, not but a merry poem. Happy and glad is the minstrel lad who can call the world his home. Sing ho for the life of the bard, though the road is long and the way is hard, for the soul of a bard is free, oh, the life of the bard for me. So give me a seat, some friends to meet, and a cup of good strong ale, of noble steeds and gallant deeds of knights I'll spin my tale. And when I die, please let me lie with my harp upon my chest, and the turtle dove and the stars above will sing me to my rest. Sing ho for the life of the bard, though the road is long and the way is hard, for the soul of a bard is free, oh, the life of the bard for me, oh, the life of the bard for me, oh, the life of the bard for me. In the year 991, the Vikings went raiding down the coast of England and were met in opposition by Brythnoth, whose lord was Æthelred. The Vikings demanded tribute, but Brythnoth replied he would give them only swords and spears. The Vikings said, we'd love to have a fight, but could we get off this swamp and into that nice dry land over there? And Brythnoth, in his overmod, his overconfidence, agreed to the terms, and the Saxons were slaughtered. Halfway through this fragment of a poem, Brythnoth dies, and his thanes declare over his body that they'll continue to fight on, even though they know their cause is now hopeless. This fragment of a poem, Battle of Maldon, contains one of the most famous of Anglo-Saxon couplets. Here shall the hadra hata the kendra, mad shall the mara the uramayan lit lath, the translation of which is the first half of the chorus. Here must we hold, so hearken to my counsel. Felled is our Lord, slain by foemen on the field. Now we must honor the oaths we made in Mead Hall. Now we must shoulder the burden of his shield. Great were his gifts of gold and noble gemstones. High were the halls where the heroes boasted so. He was our Lord, so loath am I to leave him. Vow to avenge him by vanquishing the foe. For our hands shall be the harder, and our will shall be the wiser, and our hearts shall be bolder, though our strength must end. Come and follow me to glory, so that when they tell the story, we shall not be forgotten in the halls of men. I will not flee, but farther will I follow, boldly to battle with broadsword in my hand. More than my life was the love I bore for Brythnoth. Fierce will I fight now, and so defend this land. Come I from kindred of honour and of courage, ne'er shall they say that I nothing was at war. Stand with me steadfast, staunch against the Viking. Wield ye your weapons like warriors of yore. For our hands shall be the harder, and our will shall be the wiser, and our hearts shall be bolder, though our strength must end. Come and follow me to glory, so that when they tell the story, we shall not be forgotten in the halls of men. We stand undaunted, the last of the defenders, stout-hearted men who can strike a mighty blow. We will encourage each other in the war play. Let them advance now, for we shall lay them low. Death is our doom, but let us die with honor. All that lives after is what the bards do say. Fight to be worthy of fame in the future. Let them remember the deeds we do today. For our hands shall be the harder, and our will shall be the wiser, and our hearts shall be bolder, though our strength must end. Come and follow me to glory, so that when they tell the story, we shall not be forgotten in the halls of men. We shall not be forgotten in the halls of men.
This first song is my take on the SCA conceit of the dream. And I'm not much of a dreamer. I tend to work more than I dream. But this is my take. The king, he sits on his high throne. The people rejoice in his rule. His court is assembled in bright array and laughs at the japes of his fool. The queen on her throne is wise and fair. Her beauty illumines the hall. She inspires in folk every art, every skill, and gracious she is unto all. And I have dreamed this dream, awake I'm dreaming still, and I am up in the morning light to work this dream to my will. The knight stands ready to take any quest. He worships his lady fair. His armor shines bright in the noonday sun. His banner embraces the air. The yeoman works hard with his plow and his scythe, his sword and his shield as well. He takes up his weapons to defend his land, but does not in battle dwell. And I have dreamed these dreams, awake I'm dreaming still, and I am up in the morning light to work these dreams to my will. The artisan strives to form beauty pure in metal and stone and wood. She teaches her students to do as she does, to make everything that is good. The herald names all who would fight in the lists. She knows all their ranks and their skill. In the court she will tell of the acts of the king, to enemies speak royal will. And I have dreamed these dreams, awake I'm dreaming still, and I am up in the morning light to work these dreams to my will. A vision I saw, a dream of dreams, like banners on breeze unfurled, above an army of worthy folks who would bring their dreams to the world. The world is made up of dreamers' dreams, but not made of dreams alone. We must take up tools and sweat in the sun to build them in wood and stone. And I have dreamed these dreams, awake I'm dreaming still, and I am up in the morning light to work these dreams to my will. We all have dreamed these dreams, awake we're dreaming still, and we are up in the morning light to work these dreams to our will. And this song is one that I made some time ago about the aspect of the SCA that I think is one of the most important. Welcome, stranger, welcome, friend. Come to where the fire is warm from that night that has no end. Let the light keep you from harm. The world is wild and dark outside, a storm as we have known of old. Within is fire and food to bide. We watch the door against the cold. A cry or knock will herald those who seek a haven from the storm. We welcome them into the close and bring them where the fire is warm. If you have need of care or bread, you'll find them here beside the fire. Here is no thought of fear or dread, but gentle song of heart's desire. And if the road is yet your fate, we'll send you forth with well-filled pack to ease your journey, harm abate, that we may someday see you back. So welcome, stranger, welcome, friend. Come to where the fire is warm from that night that has no end. Let the light keep you from harm. A rich man came who proffered gold, but simple fare he did disdain. He would not stay, but dared the cold. We will not see him come again. A poor man fell against our door. We pulled him from the howling murk. We healed him of his wounds so sore. He had no gold, so asked for work. He washed our dishes, baked our breads. He served our guests their food and wine. You gave me back my life, he said. A gift I'll give, something of mine. And when he left for distant lands, with pack on back at duty's call, of his own will, with his 2 hands, a room he'd added to our hall. So welcome, stranger, welcome, friend. Come to where the fire is warm from that night that has no end. Let the light keep you from harm. The gift of gold is bright indeed, but cold and harsh as is the storm. The gift of heart that finds a need is twice as rich, for it is warm. We watch the door for those who tire. We welcome those who flee the night. We are the keepers of the fire. We are the wardens of the light. So welcome, stranger, welcome, friend. Come to where the fire is warm from that night that has no end. Let the light keep you from harm.
I wanted to write a series of poems about the people in a Viking Age burial ground. I freely stole the concept from Edgar Lee Masters' Spoon River anthology. I wanted to tell the stories of some ordinary lives of that period. I did not choose a Norse verse form deliberately, because this is a series that I wrote about the Norse, not one the Norse would have written about themselves. And I chose to write in iambic pentameter because it is the easiest verse form to recite in English and not sound sing-song, as trochees would have done if I had used a Norse form. It was also used in period, Chaucer, for example, and so I felt comfortable using it. The poems and the stories that accompany them are now called the Rune River Anthology. The Rune Stone. This stone was raised for Astrid, Arnulf's daughter. Never shall a finer woman come to Berka, or one who was more revered. Carved by her husband, Thorbjorn Halfdanson. Astrid, I cannot carve the truth on stone. There is not stone enough on all the coast to make a record of what you have done, and never were you one to make a boast. But I remember when I saw you first, a laughing girl with golden hair and eyes that were as blue and deep as open sea, and called me just as hard. And all the lies that I had used beguiling pretty maids deserted me. I stammered like a boy, and paid you court beneath your mother's eye. I won your heart, and wed you in my joy. And like the sun, you brought into my stead warmth and light, and, singing at your loom, did more than any tapestry or fire could do in bringing beauty to the room. You bore my sons and daughters all with joy, and kept the stead when I went south to raid. It prospered more beneath your hands than mine. And yet you came, as merry as a maid, to greet me every time my ship came home, and ask advice on all that you had done, as if you needed it. And all those winters taught your wisdom to our daughters and our sons, and they grew tall and brought us so much pride. Our girls all married well, our sons had means. The eldest brought his wife home to our hall. We should have had good years to end our dreams. But you grew ill and died, telling your love of me who left you all those years alone. Since you are gone, there is no joy in life. Astrid, I cannot carve the truth on stone.
Grandmothers, two brothers were conquistadors. Every night she told tales of El Cid 'gainst the Moors. My father died bravely, and I carry his sword. It's 1588 and I'm England bound for war. I got no time for love, senorita, no time for love. Don't bat your pretty eyes at me. I got no time for love. The invincible armada set sail from Lisbon to escort us from Flanders for the great invasion. Once England's scant fleet in the Channel is sunk, we will fight and will triumph for Spain and Christendom. I got no time for love, senorita, no time for love. Don't bat your pretty eyes at me. I got no time for love. Our 130 ships cannot be beat, though the Admiral has never commanded a fleet. Our general, the brave Duke of Parma, told me they're delayed in Calais, but they'll come. Wait patiently. I got no time for love, senorita, no time for love. Don't bat your pretty eyes at me. I got no time for love. Curse Howard and Frobisher, Hawkins and Drake. Fire ships forced our fleet from Calais to escape. Up the Channel to battle the English we hate. We'll stay here, but it's clear the Armada will be late. I got no time for love, senorita, no time for love. Don't bat your pretty eyes at me. I got no time for love. Wild rumors are flying o'er the fate of the fleet. Some say sweet victory, others bitter defeat. We know once crossed the Channel the foe we would beat, but this waiting is torture, dear, sadly I repeat. I got no time for love, senorita, no time for love. Don't bat your pretty eyes at me. I got no time for love. All we Spaniards in Flanders were summoned to meet with the wise Duke of Parma, who said succinctly, the Armada has met with great catastrophe. We can still invade England, but we cannot come by sea. So I got some time for love, senorita, some time for love, maybe even a lifetime or more. We got some time for love.
Brave crossed the nights through the river swift that ran between the cut of the valley, and hot was the sun and cold were the waves take them from our home, though the river run red through this valley. He held aloft a spear astride that muddy bank, running beside the company of knights. The king himself, in raiment shining bright, pushed ever on through the valley. Brave crossed the knights through the river swift that ran between the cut of the valley. And hot was the sun, and cold were the waves where the river ran red through the valley. Knight and peasant both were bloodied as they fought, the pikes and swords of the brutal warring force. The king stood strong, red and waved about his boots, and they held off the line in the valley. I'd lost him for a time, some tangled hordes engaged, but his blue and gold sleeve and spear at last I saw. He was waiting on his knees through the river deep, ran like time through the valley. Brave crossed the nights through the river swift that ran between the cut of the valley. And hot was the sun, and cold were the waves where the river ran red through the valley. At last the battle broke, the red retreat was called, and the blood ran down to the sea so far away. With victory in their hands came their brother and our king, and the river ran clear in the valley. Brave crossed the night through the river swift that ran between the cut of the valley. And hot was the sun, and cold were the waves where the river ran red in the valley. Oh, brave crossed the night through the river swift that ran between the cut of the valley. And hot was the sun, and cold were the waves, till the river ran clear through the valley.